Got a Google alert?
Yes.
What did you say to him?
I asked if it was true, and he admitted it right away. And I think my response was, "Are you kidding me?"
For years, fans saw Demi Moore and Ashton Kutcher as a power couple, smiling on red carpets and standing strong in public. But after their divorce, Demi could not stay quiet anymore. She decided to completely expose Ashton and the truth behind their picture-perfect marriage. She opened up about pain, betrayal, and a shameful moment that broke her during the marriage. Her words changed how people viewed their relationship and made many question what really happened. Join us as we delve into the details of this shocking confession after years of silence. Love against all odds. The love story of Demi Moore and Ashton Kutcher did not start with headlines or flashing cameras. It began during a busy night in New York when Hollywood energy filled the air. At a movie event for Charlie's Angels, Full Throttle in 2003, Demi Moore crossed paths with Ashton Kutcher. People moved around them, but that very moment stood out. Demi was already a major star at 40, while Ashton was 25 and rising fast. Something clicked right away, and neither of them tried to fight it. The age gap quickly became obvious to everyone around them, but it did not slow things down. Demi felt pulled in by Ashton's playful nature and the way he made her laugh. He brought a light energy that felt fresh to her. Ashton, on the other hand, felt grounded by Demi's life experience and confidence. Instead of focusing on numbers, they leaned into how natural the connection felt and chose to see where it could lead. Only one day after they met, they picked up the phone and stayed on it for 8 straight hours. The call stretched deep into thoughts about life, dreams, faith, and where they saw themselves going. They opened up instead of holding back. That long talk helped set things up for a romance that moved at full speed. Within 3 weeks, Ashton had already stepped into Demi's world and met her daughters and her former husband, Bruce Willis. Things kept moving forward without pause. Just 2 months after they started seeing each other, Ashton decided not to wait around. He planned a late-night beach picnic in Santa Barbara, timing it for midnight. Candles flickered while waves rolled in. Using rose petals, he laid out the words, "Marry me," in the sand. And the ring he brought was a 5-carat diamond worth about $250,000, and Demi said yes. By the 4th month, they had already packed things up and moved in together. They also teamed up professionally and set up a production company called Catalyst Films. They wanted to build something as partners, not just at home, but at work too. Their first project, Beauty and the Geek, took off and turned into a hit. As their public image grew stronger, their private life was tested by heartbreak. Not long after, Demi became pregnant. But unfortunately, 6 months in, she suffered a miscarriage. The loss hit them hard and knocked the air out of their world. Instead of pulling away, they leaned on each other and showed up to grief counseling 3 times every week for months. Ashton later shared that the pain helped him grow up fast and made him feel ready for fatherhood in a deeper way. While they tried to heal, the outside world stayed loud. The media could not stop talking about their 15-year age gap. When they appeared together again at the Charlie's Angels premiere, chaos broke out. More than 200 photographers crowded in, trying to get the perfect shot. Some even offered $100,000 for a single photo of them kissing. Meanwhile, late-night shows kept cracking jokes non-stop. The word cougar suddenly popped up everywhere, and Demi was pushed into that label again and again. Instead of shutting down, she chose to laugh it off. In 2005, she appeared on Saturday Night Live wearing heavy old age makeup, leaning into the joke. By playing along, she took some power back and showed she was not afraid of public noise or criticism. In September 2005, they low-key made things official. The wedding took place at their Beverly Hills home and stayed small by Hollywood standards, with only about 100 guests. Bruce Willis was there, standing close in support. Demi wore a Lanvin dress, and Ashton chose a cream-colored Brooks Brothers suit. They exchanged vows under a Kabbalah chuppah, tying in their shared spiritual beliefs. One of the most emotional moments came from Demi's daughters, Rumor, Scout, and Tallulah. Each girl read a personal letter to Ashton, laying their feelings out openly. In return, Ashton gave each of them a Cartier love bracelet to show his promise to the family. Bruce Willis was said to be deeply moved, watching the blended family come together in such an open and respectful way. After the wedding, family life became the center of everything. Demi and Ashton bought a home in Idaho, where they could slow things down and spend real time together. They hosted themed parties, went on family trips, and often included Bruce Willis. Co-parenting came naturally, and they even traveled together as one extended family. Bruce later praised Ashton for earning the girls' trust and love. As time went on, Ashton stepped fully into his role as a stepfather while still in his 20s. He showed up to school events, clapped at performances, and worked to be present every day. He learned how to French braid hair and even signed up for parenting classes. He believed love did not get split, but grew larger. He supported Rumor's early career, helped her online, and stayed connected to all three girls. Scout later shared that Ashton helped spark her interest in technology, which pushed her toward studying computer science. Still, the adjustment was not simple for everyone. Tallulah later admitted she felt unsure at first and struggled to understand where Ashton fit in her life. Rumor also shared that she once had a crush on him before he dated Demi, which added layers to navigate. But even with all the efforts Ashton put into loving them, the journey was not without challenges. When hearts break apart, hope filled their home when Demi and Ashton learned they were going to have a child together. They talked things through, made plans, and let themselves look ahead. Demi was 41 and already 6 months along when she went in for a normal doctor visit on September 23, 2003. What was meant to be routine suddenly turned heavy. The doctor could not find a heartbeat. Their baby girl, whom they had named Chaplain Ray, was gone. In one moment, excitement slipped away, and shock took over, leaving them frozen and unsure how to move on. The loss hit Demi harder than she ever expected. She had stayed sober for almost 20 years, holding on through discipline and effort. After the miscarriage, she turned inward and started blaming herself. She replayed every choice in her mind and told herself that the few times she drank or smoked early in the pregnancy had caused it. That belief ate away at her. Instead of reaching out, she shut down and carried the guilt alone, letting it grow heavier with each passing day. Grief settled in and refused to lift. Demi became deeply sad and struggled to get through her days. To push the pain down, she slowly slipped back into old habits. Alcohol crept in first, then pain pills like Vicodin followed. What began as a way to cope quickly turned into dependence. As her emotional strength broke down, her body followed. She stopped eating well, lost weight fast, and dropped to just 98 pounds, worrying those around her who watched her fade. Still holding on to hope, Demi and Ashton tried to have another child. They went through IVF and other options, putting themselves through physical and emotional strain. Each failed attempt felt like another door closing. Demi felt more damaged each time, like her body was letting her down again and again. Years later, in 2019, she explained that this period left her feeling empty and without direction, unsure how to deal with pain that never seemed to ease up. The strain did not stop with grief alone. It began to pull their marriage apart. Ashton tried to show support, but he could not fully understand what Demi was carrying inside. In her memoir, she shared that while he wanted to help, he could not reach the same emotional place. That gap slowly widened. They stopped meeting in the middle, and distance started creeping into everyday life, changing how they spoke, touched, and trusted each other. As the connection weakened, they looked for ways to fix what felt broken. Demi admitted that they tried unusual paths in hopes of keeping their marriage together. She agreed to threesomes after Ashton asked, believing it might bring them closer. Instead, it left her feeling unsure and ashamed. She went along with it to please him, but it made her question herself and the relationship. They also turned toward faith, attending the Kabbalah Center and traveling to Israel, searching for answers. Nothing seemed to lift the weight hanging over them. Pressure from infertility, Demi's struggle with addiction, and constant talk about their age gap kept piling on. Then things took another sharp turn when rumors of Ashton cheating began to surface. On their 6th wedding anniversary, September 24th, 2011, he was said to have spent the night with a 22-year-old woman named Sarah Leal. Demi had seen her before, watching her hand Ashton her number without shame. The truth came crashing down in the most public way. Demi learned about the affair through a Google alert on her phone while she was getting ready for a red carpet event. When she faced Ashton, he didn't even try to deny it. She later discovered there had been another woman before, just 21 years old. Ashton tried to explain his actions by saying their past choices had blurred boundaries. That excuse only deepened Demi's pain and left her feeling small and exposed. The scandal spread fast, making everything harder to handle. Only days later, Demi had to stand beside Ashton at an event for their foundation, listening as he spoke, knowing what had happened. The humiliation cut deep. She didn't know how to feel or how to react. But deep within her, Demi knew the whole situation couldn't continue for long. She had made up her mind, and that was final. Nothing was stopping her. Losing sight, finding self. On November 17th, 2011, Demi Moore announced their separation. The divorce dragged on for nearly 2 years before ending in November 2013. Afterward, Demi's life began to unravel, leading to relapse, a seizure in early 2012, and years of worsening addiction that nearly broke her. Life grew smaller and quieter for Demi during those years. She slowly pulled away from people who loved her and shut the door on regular contact. Most days were spent alone, cut off from family and close friends. Calls went unanswered, messages stayed unread, and visits stopped happening. She failed to show up for important moments, including her daughter Rumer's 30th birthday. Other family events also passed without her presence. Each missed moment added distance and made reconnection feel harder. Isolation wrapped around her routine and became something she slipped into without even noticing how deep it had grown. By September 2012, things reached a breaking point. Demi finally checked into a high-end rehab center in Utah called Cirque Lodge. The program cost about $150,000 a month, but her health left no room for delay. This step was not just about stopping substance use. but about facing everything she had been running from. Still, the damage had already spread outward. She wasn't able to contain her addiction. It reached into the lives of her daughters and strained every bond that once felt unbreakable. Her relationship with Rumor, Scout, and Tallulah suffered deeply. Communication gradually faded until it disappeared completely. For 3 years, they did not speak at all. Tallulah later shared how frightening that time felt. She said her mother no longer seemed like herself and felt unpredictable. Small changes in Demi's behavior caused fear, like shifts in her voice or sudden affection. The stress took a toll on Tallulah's own health, leading to struggles with food and body image that followed her for years. Meanwhile, Rumor carried a mix of anger and heartbreak. She felt like something important had been taken away from her. Watching her mother fall apart left scars that did not fade quickly. One moment stayed especially vivid when she had to call 911 to save her mother's life. Scout felt left behind because she believed her mother no longer cared. By 2012, all 3 sisters stepped back completely. They skipped Demi's 50th birthday and moved forward without her. Time passed with little contact, but a turning point came on November 12, 2015. Tallulah, the youngest, had just completed rehab of her own after battling substance use and eating issues. Instead of staying distant, she chose to reach out. It was a brave move that opened a door that was long closed. This was their first contact in nearly 3 years. Demi did not hesitate. She packed up quickly and flew to New York to meet her daughter face to face, ready to show up fully. Repairing trust took patience and effort. On a 2019 episode of Red Table Talk, the family spoke openly about the pain. Tallulah admitted she felt abandoned. Rumor shared how panic would set in at the thought of seeing her mother again. Scout spoke about anger that had built up over time. Instead of being defensive, Demi owned her mistakes and did not shift blame. She admitted her addiction had caused deep wounds. To move forward, she committed to therapy and family counseling, showing up week after week for 18 months. A major shift happened during a retreat in Arizona in 2007. They spent a full week together, away from daily stress. Meditation sessions, emotional exercises, and long talks helped them slowly reconnect. Walls came down bit by bit. Over time, their bond grew stronger. Holidays were shared again, support showed up online and in real life, and they even worked on projects together. For Demi's 60th birthday in 2022, her daughters surprised her with matching tattoos using her handwriting for the word mother, marking how far they had come. Beyond her children, Demi also kept a close bond with Bruce Willis. Even after their marriage ended in 2000, respect remained. When Bruce's family shared news of his aphasia in 2022, Demi stood by him publicly and privately. She spent time with Bruce and his wife Emma, offering steady support. In 2023, she joined them to celebrate his 68th birthday. A video of everyone singing together spread quickly online and showed that their connection never truly faded. By the time Demi moved into her 60s, her view of love had shifted. On her 62nd birthday in 2024, she shared that her strongest relationship was with herself. She no longer felt the need to be completed by someone else. She called this new phase solo partnering, focusing on growth and peace. Dating became rare and thoughtful. She went on only a few dates, including one stargazing night with an astrophysicist, choosing meaning over need. But interestingly, this wasn't her first or second marriage. Let's take a look at her personal life in detail. Broken beginnings. Demi Moore entered the world in the early 1960s in a small town in New Mexico, But her childhood did not open with warmth or comfort. From the very beginning, life seemed to stack heavy problems in her path. She grew up without her biological father, who walked away before she could even know him. Her mother struggled to get by and often failed to give the care and protection a child needed. As the years rolled on, Demi learned early that she would have to toughen up and face life head-on, even when it felt unfair and overwhelming. As a teenager, her pain deepened in ways that were hard to process. In her later memoir, she opened up about a serious betrayal that happened when she was still very young. Her mother, who she had trusted, failed her in the worst way, and money played a role in that betrayal. This moment stayed with her and weighed her down for years. At home, things kept falling apart. Alcohol ruled the house, and chaos followed the family wherever they went. They packed up and moved again and again, never settling long enough to feel rooted. By the time Demi reached her early teens, stability felt like a dream she could not hold on to. She lived in a constant state of fear and confusion, never knowing what would happen next. One particularly frightening moment forced her to grow up faster than any child should. It was a family emergency involving her mother that changed her forever and left a lasting mark on her heart. That day taught Demi that adults could break too, and sometimes children were pushed into roles they were never meant to take on so early in life. School did not offer much relief either. Learning came with extra hurdles because she struggled with dyslexia, which made reading and writing harder than it was for other kids. On top of that, she dealt with serious eye problems that required surgery, adding more stress to an already heavy load. By the age of 16, she decided to step away from school completely. She struck out on her own, picking up whatever work she could find, from modeling to office jobs, just to keep food on the table and a roof over her head. At 17, Demi tried to break away from her past by jumping into marriage. She tied the knot with musician Freddie Moore, hoping this new chapter would help her leave old pain behind. Instead, the relationship slowly fell apart, and the marriage ended after 4 years. Even so, she refused to give up on herself. She kept pushing forward, holding on to the belief that something better waited ahead. That determination drove her to chase acting seriously, even when rejection kept showing up at her door. Her first major break came when she was just 19 years old. She landed a role on the popular soap opera General Hospital, playing a journalist named Jackie Templeton. More than 1,000 young women went after the same part, but Demi stood out from the crowd. The pay was small, but the opportunity meant everything. The role gave her visibility and helped her break into an industry that often shut doors quickly. Jackie was written as strong and focused, and Demi leaned into that energy with confidence. Behind the scenes, however, her life was still spinning out of control. She battled addiction and often partied without limits, letting days blur together. People around her saw both her talent and her self-destructive habits. Director Joel Schumacher noticed her potential and decided to step in. He helped set up strict support so she could stay sober during filming for her next big project. That structure gave Demi something she had never really had before, a safety net that helped her stay upright. In 1985, Demi appeared in St. Elmo's Fire, a movie about young adults trying to figure life out after college. The film struck a chord with audiences and turned its cast into rising stars. Demi played Jules, a character who lived fast while hiding deep struggles, a role that echoed parts of her real life. Getting the part came with a clear condition. She had to either clean up her life or walk away. Demi chose to fight for herself and stayed on track with close supervision during filming. The success of St. Elmo's Fire pulled Demi into the spotlight and linked her to the group later called the Brat Pack. While the label felt uncomfortable, it brought fame and opened new doors. Soon after, she took on stronger roles in films like About Last Night and Ghost. And even decades later, people still look back at that era with interest. In 2025, a documentary revisited those years, and talks began about possibly bringing the St. Elmo's Fire cast together again for a sequel. Everything changed in 1990 when Ghost hit theaters. The film exploded worldwide, earning over $500 million on a modest budget. Demi's role as Molly Jensen touched audiences everywhere, and one romantic scene became unforgettable. Her look in the film sparked fashion trends across the globe. The film earned Demi major award recognition and proved that creative stories could still dominate Hollywood, reshaping her career path and setting her up for more serious roles. Little did she know that there were also serious problems waiting ahead. Through fame and fire. As the early 1990s rolled on, Demi Moore stepped into one of the most talked-about roles of her career. In 1993, she appeared in Indecent Proposal, a film that stirred strong reactions everywhere. The story centered on a shocking offer made to a married couple, and it pushed viewers to think hard about love, money, and loyalty. Demi played Diana Murphy, a woman caught in the middle of an impossible choice. The movie pulled in nearly $267 million worldwide, far more than its modest budget, and it quickly turned into a cultural flashpoint. While the film packed theaters, it also sparked heated debates. Many people argued over what the story said about marriage and personal values. Some critics felt the movie crossed a line by turning a woman into something that could be bargained over. Feminist voices spoke up, saying the story reduced women to objects instead of showing strength. Demi found herself caught in the storm, feeling judged from all sides. She later shared that the harsh reaction during this period weighed on her more than she expected. Even with the noise surrounding her, Demi refused to back down or play it safe. She kept reaching for roles that challenged old ideas about what women should or should not do on screen. In the mid-1990s, she leaned into that mindset even harder by signing on to 2 films that would shake up her image again. In 1996, she took on the lead role in Striptease, playing a woman who worked as a stripper while trying to protect her child and survive tough odds. The movie drew huge attention long before it even hit theaters. People talked endlessly about Demi's bold scenes and the subject matter. Though critics were harsh, the studio paid her a record-breaking $12.5 million, making her the highest-paid actress in Hollywood at the time. The attention pushed her name even higher, but it also opened her up to intense judgment. Many viewers focused more on her body than her performance, which added pressure she could not escape. Just 1 year later, Demi flipped expectations again with G.I. Jane. In this film, she played a woman determined to break into the elite world of Navy SEAL training. To fully step into the role, Demi shaved her head during filming and pushed her body to the limit. She trained hard, built muscle, and dropped her body fat to an extreme level. She also took on many of her own stunts, proving she was serious about showing strength and grit. These 2 roles placed Demi at the center of a larger conversation about gender. In one film, she leaned into sexuality and softness. In the other, she stripped all that away and stepped into a tough, traditionally male space. The contrast sparked endless talk in the media. Some people praised her bravery, while others felt uneasy. Demi later reflected that playing a stripper upset women, while playing a soldier unsettled men, showing how deep these expectations ran. Behind the fame, the pressure started to pile up. The constant criticism, focus on her body, and public judgment took a toll. In her 2019 memoir, Demi opened up about how this time marked the beginning of deeper personal struggles. She spoke about slipping back into substance use and battling unhealthy thoughts about her appearance. Even as her career seemed unstoppable on the outside, she was silently trying to hold herself together. Long before all of this, Demi's personal life had already followed a complicated path. The decision of getting married at 17 was not driven by romance, but by a need to escape emotional pain after losing her stepfather. She later admitted that she was not ready for marriage and did not fully understand what she was stepping into. Even the night before the wedding felt wrong, filled with doubt rather than joy. Still, she took Freddie's last name, which later became her stage name, and stayed with her forever. During their time together, they even worked on music as a team, and one of their songs gained a bit of attention. But the relationship felt heavy and confusing. Demi was still growing up, trying to figure herself out while stuck in an adult role. Over time, she realized she had helped push the marriage toward its end, and they separated in 1985. A few years later, love entered her life again in a way that felt sudden and electric. In 1987, Demi met Bruce Willis at a movie premiere, even though she was engaged to another actor at the time. The connection between them grew fast and strong. Just months later, while attending a boxing match in Las Vegas, Bruce proposed. They married almost immediately, jumping into life together without much planning. For years, they became one of Hollywood's most admired couples. As their careers took off, they also built a family, welcoming 3 daughters between 1988 and 1994. But busy schedules pulled them in different directions. Bruce hoped for a more stable home life, while Demi was breaking records and taking on demanding roles. Even so, they worked to stay close, acting together and raising their children with care. When they chose to separate in 1998, they handled it with respect and kindness. They stayed friends, shared parenting, and supported each other through new chapters. During this time, Demi focused on being a mother, even when it meant stepping back. She eventually moved away from Hollywood to give her daughters a calmer life, showing that family, above all else, guided her choices. If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe, and also click the next video shown on your screen.